If I could ask everyone to have a seat, and we'll get the State of the City address started. Again, good evening and welcome to the 2019 Marysville State of the City address. My name is Terry Emery and I'm the Marysville City Manager. Tonight we've got an exciting evening. And 01 is that the City Manager shall report the state of the city in the first quarter of each year to City Council. So by virtue of that, I'm meeting one of my obligations this evening, so thank you for all of you joining us here tonight. But our City Council here, we've got our President of Council, J.R. Roush. We've got our Vice President of Council, Hank Burby. We've got our newest council member, Scott Brock, Nevin Taylor, Alan Seymour, and Mark Reams. We also have what I would consider a very special guest tonight, and Tracy Richardson here. Tracy served on City Council from 2010 to 2018, gave a lot of blood, sweat, and tears to this city, and we were very fortunate that Tracy recently became a state representative in District 86, and she's going to do some wonderful things at the state level. Thank you. I'd also like to recognize our partners in our community, our county officials. We've got the County Commissioners Steve Stolte and County Commissioner Chris Schmenk. And we're missing, I want to recognize two people we are missing tonight. We're missing Charles Hall, County Commissioner. We're missing Deb Grote, one of our council members who could not be here. But I want to thank you, Commissioners, for being here. I also want to recognize my partner in our work in the city and the county, Tim Hansley. And Tim, thank you. And Tish Rail, his assistant administrator. Tish, thank you for being here. I also see Jeff Stouch. Thanks, Jeff, for being here, our county engineer. Tonight, again, I wanted to thank Scott's. We're very fortunate to have an MC tonight that I'd like to introduce right now and to bring up here in just a second. Sue Locke is the Director of Corporate and Community Partnerships at Scott's. As Director of Corporate and Community Partnerships, Sue leads Scott's Miracle-Gro enterprise-wide philanthropic and community outreach efforts, including corporate and foundation-supported initiatives and programming. Sue also is the Program Director of the Legacy Project, a youth empowerment program supported by the Scott's Miracle-Gro Foundation and the Hagedorn Legacy Foundation. She also serves as the Vice President of the Scott's Miracle-Gro Foundation as well as Secretary for the Hagedorn Legacy Foundation. So it's with my pleasure that I introduce Sue Locke. Sue.
The kind words, Terry, and welcome to all of our guests this evening. Welcome to the Berger Learning Center and the Scott's Miracle-Gro World Headquarters. As Terry said, I'm Sue Locke, Director of Corporate and Community Partnerships, and I'm approaching, in April, it'll be 14 years with Scott's Miracle-Gro. So on behalf of Jim Hagedorn, our chairman and CEO, our executive team, and my colleagues at Scott's Miracle-Gro, it's a real privilege and honor to be hosting the 2019 State of the City with you all. Before we jump into the core of the program, I wanted to take a moment to thank the folks who really helped make this evening possible, and those who are also helping make a difference in enhancing the lives of those residents in Marysville. First of all, our city and government officials, Terry, and your team, you are always working with us here at Scott's and really are making Marysville truly a place where the grass is always greener. Sorry, I had to get that in there. Couldn't help myself, working at Scott's. Also to our elected and appointed officials, you are always supporting our company and our associates, and we appreciate that as well. And also to our other guests who are here, we welcome you to our campus, and we appreciate you spending the evening with us. Also, my colleagues here at Scott's who have really helped make this, again, this evening a success. Tony Bond, Lenny Hall, Michelle Thrush, also Aaron Corbett, and Chef Todd McDunn, who provided the wonderful cookies that you all had when you were coming out here. But Scott's Miracle-Gro, we are certainly, proud to be part of the Marysville community for the last 150, actually more than 150 years. And we've really enjoyed working with many of you on a lot of variety of community outreach and partnerships. Just for example, our work with Memorial Hospital, the Union County Foundation, United Way of Union County, Marysville Schools, also the Union County Fair, and also Partners Park. So again, it's just a privilege and an honor to have you all here at our home today. And we also look forward to the next 150 years of being in the city of Marysville. So I think that's a great segue when we talk about the future. So I'd like to introduce Brian Bierencott. He is our chief scientist here at Scott's Miracle-Gro, and he is going to talk to you a little bit about some of the new R&D innovations that are taking place here at Scott's. So, Brian.
Oh, well, thank you, Sue, and welcome everyone to Scott's Miracle-Gro. I am, as Sue mentioned, chief scientist in R&D and have been at Scott's for about 29 years. So I think at one point you'll see O.M. Scott. I think I reported to him at one point. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about R&D and what we do and how we do it. Oops, wow, that's sensitive. So 150 years we celebrated last year. There are not many companies in the world that can say that. That's pretty amazing to stay in business over 150 years. So we celebrated that last year. Of course, our founders, O.M. Scott, 1868. We have our store on Main Street still, where it all started. And then Horace Hagedorn. So this is the lawn expert, was O.M. Scott, and got clean grass seed by direct mail going. And so it's kind of fun. We're kind of come back around to direct-to-consumer. He started with mail order grass seed, clean grass seed. And Horace Hagedorn, which started like the whole gardening revolution. So those, two companies got together, I think it was in 95, and created this massive, great lawn and garden company. And so that's how we got started, and see some pictures of where we started and where we are today. It's a pretty amazing story and very proud to be a part of it. We have a lot of products. Lawn and garden, consumer lawn and garden is a big business. It's pretty complicated. I'll show you why we need to have an R&D organization like we have. But I created this list. Like I said, when I started, we were pretty much just a lawn company. We kind of dabbled with gardening, competed against kind of Miracle-Gro, not very well, I might add. we were focused on lawn care. But fertilizers, grass seed, spreaders, and this list just keeps growing, which is really exciting. So, some of those that we just added, rodent control with the Tomcat brand, hydroponics. We'll talk about that product over there that just was launched this year called our Miracle-Gro 12 indoor growing unit. Furniture style of growing leafy greens and vegetables inside your home. So that's how, and it's in water, pure water, so it's pretty cool. We'll cover that a little bit. But look at the list of the product types that we offer, and the list just keeps growing, and that's what makes it fun to be here. Our brands, not a lot of people, when I put up these brands, a lot of people don't realize the brands that we have. Those are some power brands in consumer lawn and garden, as you can tell. And like I said, we added Tomcat recently, Eco Scraps, which is the food waste compost company we acquired several years ago. So a pretty amazing set of brands for consumer lawn and garden. We have a lot of production operations across the U.S. So a lot of stars on this map. We cover like 26 states. Most of them, though, you'll see are called growing media facilities. And that's an internal word. Basically, it's potting mix or potting soil. It's compost that you mix in with this heavy Marysville clay soil to try and loosen it up and actually get some water to penetrate. That's called our Miracle-Gro garden soil, but it's really just compost. It's great compost. But to do that, you can't make that in one location and ship a bunch of soil across the country. You've got to have regional production, and that's what all those growing media facilities, I think we're actually up to over 40 facilities now, take in yard waste, bark fines from the timber industry and make it into great, rich compost to mix in your soil, along with potting mix. Miracle-Gro potting mix, a flagship product of ours. We have fertilizer manufacturing. Of course, we have our super manufacturing plant right here in Marysville, Ohio, where all Turf Builder products are made. And it's been that way since like 1940 something, when Turf Builder, the homogeneous particle, was pretty much created, that all-in-one particle, and we still do it today here in Marysville, Ohio. Spreader manufacturing, make spreaders out in Temecula, California, and then we have liquids manufacturing in Iowa, and actually it's all been condensed into Fort Madison, Iowa now. So we have liquids manufacturing for a lot of our ortho products. So now we'll go into a little bit about R&D and what we do and how we do it. And I'll throw in a couple tips about lawn and garden advice as we go along to see how good at lawn and garden care you are. So we are the largest R&D in lawn and garden care by far. There's no competitor that has the R&D capabilities that we do. We have over 100 associates. As I mentioned, most of them right here in Marysville, Ohio. Broad expertise, so we have PhD people that specialize in horticulture and weeds. You know, you can get a PhD in weed science. A lot of people don't realize that. Or entomology, which is insect control, and plant pathology, which is plant disease control. And we have plant breeders that make crosses. We are the first ones to patent a grass variety in 1962. It was called Windsor Kentucky Bluegrass. It had great disease resistance and better color. That was from a plant breeder. So biotechnology, we have chemists, engineering. So actually it's kind of like a mini university here, which is what makes R&D really fun. Because you got to have all those experts for all those product types that we need to develop and research. We have a lot of patents, as I mentioned, over 500 U.S. and international patents. Processes like the original Turf Builder, that whole homogeneous particle that we created, is patented. Applicators is a big area. When you're talking about consumer and homeowner lawn and garden care, the applicator is really important to make it easy to apply the product and get a great result. But grass varieties, I mentioned, we still go after grass varieties today. And then product compositions, of course. So a lot of work on patents. We don't do it all, though, so we do go back and we do work with universities because we can't do it all. And universities give us great research and they give us great ideas as well. We have great research facilities, and this is why I'll take you kind of on a tour of our research facilities, which are pretty amazing. So we have 3 research field stations that we can do research and test our products and develop the data that supports that product. Marysville, Ohio is our biggest station. We have over 100 acres dedicated to research. The entire campus is about 750 acres here. So big campus, develop about 150 acres of it dedicated to R&D. We have a greenhouse, at a state-of-the-art greenhouse. We have a USDA certified insectary in the basement of that greenhouse, which is kind of fun. I'll show you a picture of that. A lot of people will not go into that insectary. It's kind of, well, the kids do, so it's pretty fun. And we have drought shelters. I'll show you a little bit of that, but we can make applicator prototypes we can put in consumers' hands and see if it, they like it. How can we make it better? A lot of laboratories, analytical, biological laboratories, engineering, as I mentioned. We have pilot manufacturing facilities, so we don't have to go to the big plant to make test batches of Turf Builder. We go to a pilot plant. And there are several pilot plants over in the across the street here. Dwight G. Scott, one of O.M. Scott's son, named the research building. That was built, I think, in 1976. So anyway, great facility and great building. This is why you got to have those 110 R&D people. I mentioned the product types that we have. And the list just keeps going. I added hydroponics recently with some acquisitions that are focused on the hydroponic and growing plants in pure water. But it all starts with the product type, as I mentioned here. Long list. And you got to figure out where you're going to use that product. There are cool season grasses. There are warm season grasses. So all, top half of the United States is cool season grass area. Kind of the bottom half, you're starting to get into warm season grasses. So you got to know they react very differently. So you got to really know what you're going after. But look at the target use. And then once we figure out the product type, the target use, now I got to figure out, okay, I need my functional experts to make sure they do their job and that this product works as we want it to work and gives the consumer a great experience. So you got formulations, biology, packaging and applicators. Our packages have to hold up in Home Depot, Lowe's, Walmart, Ace. They got to hold up in outdoor environments, indoor environments, rain, UV. They can't fade, they can't change. So a lot of time spent here. Same here, product stability. We have product stability chambers, freeze thaw, so that when you have our product in your garage in Marysville, Ohio, it will be stable. So we test that, make sure that freeze thaw doesn't affect it. So a lot of work goes here. And then regulatory. Lawn and garden is one of the most highly regulated consumer products segment there is. We go through a lot to make sure our products work, are safe, and perform. So a lot of regulatory requirements to make sure that happens. So now let's take a look at our Ohio research station. Like I said, we have 2 other research stations, one in outside of Orlando, Florida, which everyone wants to go in the winter here. They all say, well, I need to visit the Orlando field station. I think, okay. We also have one outside of Portland, Oregon, which is beautiful climate, Mediterranean climate, mild, but very different than Midwest. But this is our lawn and seed research area. So we have a bunch that we can do turf filter research. We test our products, make sure they don't hurt your lawn. If you happen to say, I want to go over it twice, which some consumers want to do, nothing bad will happen. We test that. We actually go up to 4 times the label rate to make sure that those few consumers out there that want to apply a little bit more, nothing bad happens. So we test it. Weed control. So this is right outside of the other side of Highway 33. This is in April. You'll see this every spring. It looks like that. You might say, what's going on over there? So this is our weed control research area. Do you know how we get that many dandelions in that area? Any ideas on what we do? Seed. Throw a bunch of dandelion seed. We actually do that once in a while. Once in a great while we'll do that. But basically all we do here is never feed it and mow it too short. And that's what you end up with. So it's really not that hard to get that. You probably maybe have all experienced that. I hope not. But this happens when you don't feed and you mow way too short and you give the advantage to the weeds and not the grass. Okay? So how high should you mow your lawn around here? Anyone know how high? How many inches?
3 inches.
See, I knew Marysville, Ohio would know. 3 inches. So all these cool season grasses, 3 inches is a great height. Now your mower, of course, isn't measured in inches, the wheel, so that they don't help you out with that. But that's not the middle setting on your wheel. If you're push behind mower, that's like higher than the middle setting on your mower. The highest setting is like 4.5 inches on a walk behind mower. So you got to be close to that highest setting if you want to mow it at the right height and keep these weeds away. All right, so that's our weed control area. Miracle-Gro Garden, so we try and make this like your backyard. This is where products like Miracle-Gro Liquid Feed, the hose end feeder was developed, Shake and Feed, some really prominent products is our garden research testing area. There's the greenhouse. So a lot of area under glass, a lot of lights. You probably see it kind of glow in the evening and at night. We don't see the sun very much in Ohio, as you all know. So we put a lot of light in that greenhouse so that we can grow grass right now, December, November, give it like 16-hour day lengths. So we try and mimic spring, summer, because we got to keep our research going. We got to keep data going all year round. So that's the greenhouse. This is subdivided into 12 individual greenhouses. We can control the climate in every of those 12 individual greenhouses separately. So we have one that mimics Florida, we have one that mimics Ohio and all the regions, and we can change it at any time. Then we have these rainfall shelters. So we want to do drought research because water is a big deal to turf grass. It goes dormant, which is fine. Goes brown. It's not dead. It's just dormant. You can do that for months and pop right back up when the water comes back. So we want to do drought research. We used to use plastic tarps. Found out very quickly that that doesn't work in Marysville, Ohio. There's a lot of wind here. And there's nothing to block it. So we said, enough with the tarps. Let's actually build some shelters. And when it rains, these things move and cover the area. So one thing, but in the engineers, though, we told them how windy it is in Marysville, Ohio, and that these are like big wings. They're going to catch wind. So they said, we'll develop a braking system to withstand that Marysville wind. These have been slammed to the end twice by the Marysville wind. So the braking system was not enough. So we fixed it. We said, drop a pin because these cannot move when we don't want them to. So anyway, that's our rainfall exclusion shelters. We can do a lot of drought research under there. It's very well controlled. We can create a drought as long as we want. Oops. There's the insectary that a lot of people won't go into. It's like fear factor. Spiders, cockroaches, ants, centipedes are all. We put them in an aquarium, so we raise them and we feed them. Anyone any idea of what we feed the cockroaches and the insects? Apples, dog food. They love that stuff. So we'll take them out of there, raise them, take them out of there, take them to another room, do our tests on them. We got the hissing cockroach that's about like this long, this big, that you see on TV all the time. We always want to put it on someone's shoulder, the visitors, and no adult has ever done that yet. But the kids, oh yeah, they do. We have a little insect test kitchen where you can put the consumer in with our product and a cockroach and make sure our products kill that cockroach before it gets to the refrigerator over here. And then we can also see how fast they spray, so we can get our applicator in tune to how fast people are spraying, so they're spraying the right amount, at the baseboard, which is where the insects like to go. So we put a little home defense there, they walk over it, and they'll die. This old family barn, which is what it still looks like today, is chemistry laboratories, basically. So there's lab benches in there. It's where our formulation chemists will make small batches of our products for testing and research before we scale them up. So that's that original family barn. Spreader settings. So test our spreaders. 2.75 mile per hour walking speed is a typical consumer walking speed. That's what this thing turns at. And London is creating the spreader settings for all of our products on that spreader testing stand. A lot of competitors don't do that. And the reason we know that is that they put our Scotch spreaders on their bags with settings. And we look at them, and it's like a drop spreader's on there, our deluxe is on there, our mini is on there, and they all have the same spreader setting on their bags. We said, well, that's not right. We know that. So it just goes to show the work we put behind our products to make sure that they work for the consumer. This is our analytical testing laboratory, where our analytical chemists, who don't really like to come out of there very often. They are machine instrument people. But they can tell you what's in any product or material with their GCs and HPLCs and ICPs. They can analyze anything, and they're amazing at what they do. So that's the analytical chemistry lab. There's doing package testing here, stability testing, making sure that it doesn't fade, doesn't blow up, doesn't vacuum in. There's things that can happen at temperatures and freeze thaw. You got to know exactly what they do. So this is a UV chamber. So this chamber puts a bunch of UV, just like the sun does, but then it also mists our package. So these are samples of our plastic packaging or a sample of a spreader that's been colored. And you put it in there for months, and you make sure that that doesn't fade. And that's why our packages always look very vibrant at the shelf, even after years of being on the shelf. And then this is just a chamber where all these experimental products are being tested at various temperatures. This is just an overall shot of the campus. Couldn't get it all in one shot, but here's our large manufacturing facility for all the turf builders made. There's our drought rain shelters. I said we'll move when it starts to rain. There's our greenhouse. These are large 7-acre turf blocks, so this is all the cool season grasses. So there's bluegrass, ryegrass, fine fescue, tall fescue, all in 7-acre blocks that we can test our products. So those are all those grasses that should be mowed around 3 inches tall. There's our garden rows, Miracle Garden Rows, our wellness center here, which we were one of the first ones to say, let's, get healthier as a company. Has paid, great dividends on people's health and lives, and it's amazing benefit. This was our weed research area, and the other side of 33 was that dandelion field I showed you, so we can go over there and do our weed research. Some products that we introduced last year you might have seen in the stores. So this was our 2018 key new product. So we had triple action turf builder, which is feed your lawn, kill some weeds, and then prevent crabgrass all in one. Great product. There's a southern version of that too. Thicker lawn. Everyone always asks, can I mix grass seed with my fertilizer so I can do it all at once in the spreader? The answer to that is no, because now the spreader setting is wrong. That we spent so much time getting it right for each of those products. So if you mix them, it's not going to be the right spreader setting. So we said, all right, consumers want to do that, let's do that for them. So this is basically turf builder with grass seed, some other stuff, set at the right spreader setting. So you can do it all in one pass. And it creates a thicker lawn. Our elite spreader was a 150-year celebration of our anniversary. We said, let's make the best spreader we've ever made. And it's like really priced well. I think it's like 99 bucks, something like that. Dual rotor, most accurate spreader you can buy, pneumatic tires, rolls very nice, beautiful spreader for 100 bucks, I can tell you that. So pick that up. And then, of course, Roundup Weed Preventer, Bug Destroyer, some other products. In 2019, these are our key products. You're going to see a lot of black bags in the stores this spring, and it's Performance Organic, so it's taking organic materials which historically have not performed as well as like conventional products. They just haven't. And consumers complain about that. Yeah, I like organics, but they just don't work as well. And that's true till now. So we worked on that. We said we got to fix organic products. So that's what Performance Organics is all about, like organic products that work really well. And so we said, let's put it in like a stark black bag that really stands out to show that we've done something big. And these things work great. We also came out with a crabgrass destroyer, best active ingredient in this material that'll kill crabgrass. So, when you see that ugly grass, in June start to come out, and it's crabgrass, put that on there, turns it white, bleaches it out, dies after that. So it gives you a signal that it's working. Cleaning products, ground clearing. The other one I want to mention was that leafy green unit. So this is our entrance into consumer hydroponics. So that's supposed to look like an end table and fit in with a lot of decor. You put water in it, you put some fertilizer in the water, and you grow plants directly in pure water, basically. And it has a light on it, designed by horticulturists, so it grows plants extremely well. So that's new this year, and you'll see more products like that. So the question was, how much? It's actually on Indiegogo right now, so this is a test launch this year. Which is the site to launch products and get feedback on how they like it. So it's like $250, somewhere around that. But it works great. You can start seeds, transplants in it, whatever you want. So anyway, that's it for me. Probably don't have time for any questions. Probably took a little while, but I'll be around afterwards. Ask any lawn and garden questions you want.
We do have some time for questions. If people do, we've got Amanda and Anna back there. They have the microphone box, so if somebody has a question, raise your hands and we'll get the interview box over to you.
Yes, sir.
Question, why the plots are 7 acres? That just happened to be the space you had or something?
That's a good question. Why the plots are each 7 acres? They were there when I came here. I think it was just like, let's divide up this land. And we got 4 cool season grasses that we need to fit, divided up equally, and it came out to be 7 acres. But it gives us a lot of room. You have to have a lot of room when doing research because you have to move around. So when you do a test, you might injure that grass there. We've got to go in there, repair that grass, and we always are moving. So it really works well. You're welcome. Yes, sir. All the cool season grasses go, so bluegrass is a great full sun grass. It doesn't like a shade though, but it's probably the prettiest grass there is, bar none. 100% bluegrass lawn is the one that you see in a lot of like picturesque photos. It's that blue-green, doesn't grow very aggressively, but it also cannot tolerate a lot of shade. So that's kind of where you start. And then tall fescue is one that's gaining a lot of traction because it does have really good shade tolerance. Not as pretty as bluegrass, little wider leaf, grows a little bit more aggressive. So sometimes mowing in the spring, you kind of can generate a lot of clippings. But it's a tough grass. It just doesn't have kind of that pure beauty of Kentucky bluegrass. And then there's perennial ryegrass and fine fescue, but those are usually blended with either bluegrass or ryegrass. So I think it just depends. You have a lot of sun and you want the best looking lawn possible over the softest, that's 100% Kentucky bluegrass. And our sun and shade, which is our #1 seller, because people usually have a combination of some sun, but they also may have a tree, and so they got some shade. So then you just say, I need a sun and shade mix, and it's a blend of Kentucky bluegrass, ryegrass, and fine fescue. So it's a blend of the three. And then depending on the environment, if it's full sun, the bluegrass dominates. And they all kind of look similar. We always make sure that the grasses blend well, that you really can't tell the difference, but we pick the varieties that look the same. So in full sun, bluegrass will do really well, but in the shade, fine fescue does very well in the bluegrass. So it's just the way it works depending on the environment. But good question.
I hope you were taking notes. Any other questions?
Yes. Yes. We aren't in the, well, actually we are getting into the sod business with our Pro Vista bluegrass that we're developing and starting to launch. Not necessarily for homeowners right now. It's going into kind of commercial properties to get it started and test it out. So we are providing Pro Vista sod. And that's kind of our first entry into kind of the sod world. Historically, we have not been in the sod business. Sod growers would buy our seed and use that to produce their sod, but then they're selling it to the developer or the homeowner directly. So we don't do it directly until this Pro Vista grass that we're developing now. And they're buying our Pro Vista and we're also involved in then the sale, but it's for commercial properties, and then eventually we'll take it to homeowners. It's a very special bluegrass variety that you can spray material over it and kill every weed out of the lawn, and then it's also very dwarf, so you mow half as much. So it's a pretty amazing bluegrass variety that, like I said, is in commercial properties right now, just starting, and then eventually we'll get to the homeowner market. Very good. Okay.
Brian, thank you very, very much. Let's give Brian a round of applause. So next up we have the State of the City video, and last week we had several of us had an opportunity to have a sneak peek of this video, and I think you're going to really enjoy this. I know for many of us, especially if you're in Marysville, I think you're really going to be inspired and awed, and also really have a true sense of pride of what's taking place. So Aaron, if you can roll the video, please.
Welcome to the 2019 Marysville State of the City. I'm excited tonight to be able to talk a little bit about the things that we've already accomplished in 2018, but also some of the projects and activities that will be taking place in 2019. Some of those include advancements in our connected vehicle research, trail development, improving the quality of life through trail development in American Legion Park, MacGyver Woods, which have been extremely successful projects, will continue to advance in trail development in our community, as well as then continue collaborations with our Council of Governments. Our Union County Council of Government with the Marysville schools and the Union County Commissioners continues to be successful, as well as our Northwest 33 Innovation Corridor Council of Governments with Union County, the City of Dublin, and the Marysville Union County Port Authority. But the most important aspect of 2019 coming will be our celebration of our bicentennial. We'll have many activities associated throughout the year with our bicentennial, and we're looking forward to all of that. City Council, I would like to thank you for working with us and setting the tone with the establishment of our strategic priorities. We again updated those this past year, and we're going to be working in the area of community safety, finances, enterprise fund management, economic development, parks and recreation, traffic and road and infrastructure improvements, quality customer service, community appearance, and communication and branding. We're very excited to really highly emphasize those areas and make our community the best it can be.
Connect Marysville made a lot of progress in 2018. We worked closely with our partners Honda, ODOT, and Drive Ohio. Everybody helped us get to the point where we are now. We've upgraded 5 intersections with connected vehicle technology. Working with Honda on the Smart Intersection project was really exciting. They brought state-of-the-art technology to Marysville. They created something that hasn't been done anywhere else in the world, and the fact that it's in Marysville makes us really proud. Drive Ohio and ODOT has been excellent to work with. They came to us early on and they noticed that our infrastructure needed to be upgraded to a point where it could actually connect with these vehicles. They helped us upgrade all of our 27 intersections with new switches and traffic controllers. It got us to a point where we are deployment ready, and without their help we would not be where we are today. In the end, in 2018, we were able to upgrade 5 traffic signals to connect with connected vehicles. In 2019, we plan to do the remaining 22.
It's been an incredible year for the 33 Smart Mobility Corridor. Our project manager has been working to install roadside units, and so we're excited to see those up. On top of that, we're working on systems engineering that's going to lead to the onboard units in the vehicles. So we truly are setting up that ecosystem for the connected vehicles. On top of that, a lot of work has gone in the 33 Innovation Park. We're setting the stage for new business growth in the city of Marysville. That park, 206 acres, we're getting a lot of leads and we're meeting with a lot of companies with their interest, and in 19 we'll hopefully see our first project begin. On top of that, we've been doing a lot of promotion, and we've been going to the Consumer Electronics Show, the Auto Show, to Detroit, to various other locations to promote the 33 Smart Mobility Corridor as the flagship project in the Midwest.
Over the last several years, many law enforcement agencies have instituted a body camera program for their patrol officers. Such as this is the Watch Guard body camera. It is the same type or manufacturer as our mobile video cameras. This camera has a field of view of 130 degrees, which makes it very adaptable to an officer who's on the scene of some type of event. It also has a storage capacity of 32 gigabytes. In 2018, we purchased 8 of these cameras, which will allow us to supply half of our patrol shift with the cameras, while the other half of the cameras are charging. Fortunately, in 2019, we have placed an order for 8 more, which will allow us the capacity to have each officer on a shift to have a body camera.
In 2018, we had a record number of runs, nearly 4,000. This is quite a contrast to what we had just a couple years ago. Back when the Decker Fire Station opened up in 2012, we had less than 3,000. Matter of fact, for this year, 2018, we had more EMS runs than we had total runs back then. We're really proud of what our community paramedic program has done this year. We were able to do 86 interventions with patients in the community. These interventions may include simple things like medication reconciliation, assisting them with fall protection, and helping them get food. In 2018, in September, we were able to send 4 people as part of a swiftwater rescue team to the state of North Carolina. This was in response to Hurricane Florence. We effected a number of rescues, and we're really proud to be able to represent the city of Marysville and the state of Ohio in this deployment. We garnered a lot of training and expertise along with the rescues we were able to do, and we hope to be able to apply those here in Marysville.
For the 2018 fiscal year, the City of Marysville ended up in an excellent cash position with an excess of $64.3 million amongst all funds. That's actually an increase of $10.9 million from the end of 2017. Much of this revenue increase from 2018 is attributed to our water and wastewater operations. Due to this increase in revenues for our water and wastewater operations, we actually forecast that we won't even need to consider raising utility rates all the way through the 2024 fiscal year. For the city's general fund, income tax collections for 2018 exceeded $19 million, which is the first time that's ever happened, and the general fund cash balance ended up being at $5.6 million at the end of 2018. These income tax collections are a vital revenue source for the city that helps support our police and fire services, but also allow for the city to invest in capital improvements such as paving and roadway enhancements. In conclusion, going into the 2019 fiscal year, I think the city is going to be in excellent financial footing, and we're going to have a lot of great projects for the city as well.
One of the highest priorities of the Marysville Division of Police is school safety. Safety of students, safety of faculty, and other personnel. We currently have 3 school resource officers in the Marysville School District. After collaboration and cooperation with Marysville Superintendent Diane Mankins, we've tentatively agreed on the hiring and sharing of cost of a 4th school resource officer. These officers are not just cops in schools, but they are educators, they are mentors, they are counselors, and they are a law enforcement resource. And they are also a part of the actual school community. It is expected that they will work with students and faculty to create a safer and better learning environment.
2019 is going to be the year where we finish out this project. We're going to install connected vehicle technology on all of the 27 signals in the city. We're also going to equip 1,200 vehicles with connected vehicle sensors. Being able to have those 1,200 vehicles driving around the city is going to be a huge asset for the city. It's going to create an environment where companies can come test vehicle to vehicle with these vehicles that are just driving around. Marysville not having a whole lot of traffic helps us because these vehicles will be easier to find. Out of these 1,200 vehicles, 100 of them will be city-maintained vehicles. We're also looking at 400 of these vehicles being residents-owned vehicles, private vehicles that we are installing this technology on. We'll begin recruiting efforts for this in the summer, and we hope to have a great turnout. This presents a very unique opportunity to the citizens of Marysville. In the end, we want Connected Marysville to be a destination for companies that want to test connected vehicle technology.
Looking forward, we hope to see an up and operational proving grounds for the autonomous connected vehicle in 2020. So this year is very integral to our future. Once we have that up and operational system, we will actually have the ultimate playground for the automotive sector to test and to prove the connected and also autonomous vehicles. And connecting with Smart Columbus as well as the Transportation Research Center and all the work that Honda's doing and the supplier network of 70 companies, we have great things to come in the city of Marysville.
Thank you to City Council, and thank you to our executive staff and the employees of the City of Marysville. We appreciate all the work that they do. And then last but not least, thank you to our citizens. We'll continue to do the best we can to make our community the best it can be. Thank you.
Pretty impressive. That the future is very bright in the city of Marysville. So next on our program is we are going to have a panel discussion. So kind of building off what you heard in the video, we're going to probe a little bit deeper with our panel here. So I'd like to bring up Terry Emery, City Manager, Mike Andrago, Public Service Director, Aaron Story, Information Technology Director, and Eric Phillips, Economic Development Director. So let's give them a round of applause. best 60 minutes. And we're going to have some probing questions here. Yeah, so, Terry, first question is for you. So there was a taking place, throughout the city, and it was discussed in the video. Can you give us an overview of some of the projects and what else we might be expecting in the year?
Great question, and anybody that was navigating their way through Marysville last year probably got very irritated at the number of barrels and the number of projects that we had going on in various areas. But let me say this, between 2018 and what you're going to see in 2019, there will be approximately about $19 million spent on public infrastructure. And I'll just read off, in 2018 alone, we were able to do the 31 widening phase 1. If anybody that lives out in that Mill Valley area, if you haven't noticed the impact that phase 1 project had, and we've got another phase coming next year, and so we got phase 2 coming next year, it's made a tremendous improvement to the traffic. Also, last year, the Main Street Bridge project, that was an ODOT project, but still, I know it was an inconvenience, but it's nice that ODOT has put in a lot of emphasis on the various bridges in and around our community, and it's really helped. I'll just name a couple others. We were able to do sidewalks on West 5th. The State Route 38, where we were able to lower the road a little bit and do some paving work, that was in excess of, the two combined, in excess of $1 million. The Millwood Boulevard extension, or I would call Cook's Point extension, and I see Dean Cook up in the audience, that's been a huge benefit to the community and will over time as people see how that area will develop. We were able to put the traffic signal at Coleman's Crossing Boulevard there in 5th Street. I think anybody that travels in and out around that area have probably observed improvement in the ability to navigate there. But I also got to name two other things. Pavement maintenance. We spent $1.4 million last year, and we're going to spend another $1.4 million this year on pavement maintenance in our community. And we take a lot of pride and really try to put a lot of effort into keeping our roads as good as we possibly can. And of course, you heard in the video about trail paving. We've got some cool stuff coming up on trail paving. This year, you're going to see a paved surface between Main Street and McCarthy Park. So you're going to see a beautiful trail established in that particular area. Also this year, you're going to see City Council has been extremely supportive of enhancing the quality of life in our community. Well, we're going to spend $750,000 at the Joint Rec here in 2019. And what we're going to do is we're going to finish out another set of fields, 4 fields. We already have 4 fields out there. We're going to have another 4 that are going to be built this year. And we're also going to make 2 of the existing fields that are there now artificial surface. So we're going to have 8 total fields, and 2 of the existing fields will be transitioned into artificial surface, which really enables people to play during just about any weather condition other than lightning. So that'll be an exciting project. Also this year, you're going to see a real improvement on West 5th Street. We're going to do a total rehab of West 5th from Grove to Damascus, where there'll be new curbs, gutters, sidewalks. Hopefully you've noticed some of the improvements that have taken place at American Legion Park. A lot of that was done in preparation for this West 5th Street project, which is going to be an awesome addition and improvement to the community. We're doing a gas station remediation. You've probably seen that work take place on 5th and Vine. And so you're going to see us try to finish that project out this year. That's another project. You're also, and I could go on forever, Sue, so just so you know. It's our bicentennial year. You're going to see the development of a park at the corner of 9th and London Avenue in front of Memorial Hospital. That area is going to be developed and it's got to be coming before City Council here soon, you guys. So, but it's going to be a bicentennial park. And it's going to be a passive park, one that we think, we'll have trees planted, we'll dissect it with some pavement, and also potentially down the road, maybe even add a gazebo in that area as well. But it's been a place that's been primed for a park for a long, long time. And we're very fortunate to have a partner in Memorial Hospital who not only is helping pay for the development of that park, but they will be maintaining it into the future because they have a real interest in making sure that that view of that area of our uptown toward their $50 million investment in their facility is a beautiful view, and that park is really going to enhance that. Okay, I'm going to start slowing down. We also have Plum Street improvements coming up this year. Again, a partnership with Memorial Hospital as part of their addition of their project. Plum Street needs improved. We need to replace the culvert there. So that's all taking place. Again, pavement maintenance, I'm going to kind of stop there so we can get to the next question. But I did want to give a lot of credit to Jeremy Hoyt, our city engineer, and his staff. Those guys are rock stars, and they've done a fantastic job keeping these projects going. So thank you.
Mike, so in the video, you talked about the Connected Marysville project. Excuse me. So how is the city going to address some of the security concerns that might arise out of this? How are you going to protect the privacy of motorists who are volunteering to participate?
Yeah, absolutely. That is probably the number one question of residents that get this device installed on their vehicles is this big brother? Are you going to track where I go? How do we keep this secure? And so the idea is these devices, when the security functions are turned on, they generate their own temporary IDs every 15 minutes. So these IDs expire and a new one gets generated for each vehicle. So we won't be able to know what vehicle has what ID. So there won't really be a way to track people. What we will be tracking is 15-minute trips through the city. And what that will allow us to do is see how the traffic signals are functioning as a corridor. There's a lot of different things we can do with that. So it helps us, but it also anonymizes the data. These data sets that are created, and we're collecting all this data from the vehicles, you won't be able to tell if it's a police car, if it's a residential vehicle, if it's an ambulance. You won't know based on the ID. There'll be no distinguishing characteristic. The other portion of security is how do we keep hackers from sending out false signals. We're talking about connected vehicles, not autonomous, so we're not talking about driverless cars yet. What we're talking about is providing the driver with more information. And if you're driving and these are safety-sensitive messages they'll be getting, we don't want hackers to give us fraudulent messages. So they're built into the specification for these radios is a security credential management system that can be used. So certificates will be assigned to both the receiving unit and the sending unit, and those certificates have to match for the message to be accepted. And so once we move into that phase of our project, the security certificates will keep it from being hacked. So you got the privacy of the people that are using it, and then the validity of the messages it's sending.
So if I could, this is my show, so can I address here? I wanted to say a couple things before we get into some of these technology questions. Two and a half years ago, none of these three gentlemen here had any idea that this was going to be part of their job description. The things that we're doing in technology and the capabilities that these guys have to handle it within their current job descriptions and what they're doing every day is phenomenal. I was asking Mike, because walking in this morning, I said, hey, Mike, I know you were out there working on the system last night. How late were you out there?
Midnight, about 12:30. I got home at 1 a.m. So, yeah, a lot of the testing that we do, that if it affects traffic, we try to do that at night. So we've been working with different partners doing different testing on our system, but we don't want to mess traffic up during the day, so we do that testing at night. So if you drive through Marysville, uptown Marysville, in the middle of the night, you might run into us testing the system. So.
Thanks to you guys for really doing that. Really appreciate it.
So the next question is for Aaron Story, our IT director. So there's been a lot of talk about the fiber being installed on 33. Can you explain and tell the audience a little bit more about that?
Sure. I even brought a thing for show and tell. But the fiber and conduit that's been along US 33 started installed in 2017. between the ODOT, Ohio Department of Transportation, and a federal grant that was awarded to the US 33 Council of Governments that Terry mentioned earlier. That's between Marysville, Union County, and Dublin. It's a 35-mile leg that runs from Metro Data Center in Dublin to the Transportation Research Center up in East Liberty. It consists of a 3-inch conduit with 7 interducts, and we are only going to be using one of these interducts for a 432-strand fiber optic cable. And I mean, in the technology world, this is a lot of fiber. And the good thing about it, we have 6 more ducts that we can still populate with this. But the main purpose of the corridor with this fiber was to build a wireless infrastructure along 33, consisting of data poles, antennas, and networking equipment that could communicate with cars with the proper technology. The installation of the fiber, of course, was the first step as to be able to hook everything together. But another point along with this install of US 33, starting last winter of 2018, was a redundant loop of fiber that will back this up, and it should be completed by August 1st of this year. But secondary fiber runs are really important to keep from any interruptions in services and things like that. It will have the same endpoints as US 33, but it will come through Honda Parkway, Northwest Parkway, right through Marysville, and down Industrial Parkway. But so when all this is all put together and the loops are created, this will give Marysville and Union County full access into Columbus FiberNet, Ohio Academic Research Network, the schools know as ORNet, Ohio Supercomputer, as well as many other data centers throughout the Columbus area. Yeah, the economic impact of this is huge. This gives us all sorts of access for businesses that want to come into the Marysville area. But once this network is built, it will connect into our Union County Council of Governments network that sits, and it's managed by Marysville, Union County, and Marysville schools that basically services the Marysville area. But this fiber network in the Marysville area connects all city buildings, all county buildings, and all schools. And it's managed by directors of the board of the Council of Governments. But it's still a huge point for businesses to come into town to attract new businesses that require high-speed internet with their day-to-day, but also support the local businesses and how they want to grow. But one of the things that we have to change is sort of the culture, because as we go through and we build water, sewer, gas, and electric, this is just as much as utility now as any of those. So as we build roads and things like that, installing conduit along with this other infrastructure is becoming the normal for future fiber installations. But internet services as we know them, cloud access, remote software access, disaster recovery, your kids streaming video, television, cellular phone, gaming, more and more is becoming reliant on the internet, which the fiber is the backbone to it all.
For you. So the city has invested over $7 million in purchasing and constructing a roadway to begin the development of the 33 Innovation Park. How do you view this development as being complementary to economic development efforts?
First, you have to give applause to City Council and City Manager and the staff, everyone that's worked together on this project to make it a reality. It's something a lot of cities do not do, invest a lot of money into an industrial park with the hopes of businesses locating there. It's a big risk to take, but if you don't take risk, you don't prosper in a lot of ways. But it is a game changer because we have product. Beforehand, we did not have product as far as industrial land available for development. Today, in the county, Union County, we have 2% vacancy rate in industrial space. That's practically zero is what we have. We need space for new companies that want to locate, for our existing companies that want to expand. So the park is a big winner when it opens up this land. We compete with other cities such as Dublin and other communities within the ring and around Columbus. We also have to look at this as an opportunity to create more industrial, advanced manufacturing, ag science, R&D businesses and mobility companies to locate in Marysville. The city and the county worked together and received a $1.5 million grant, capital bill request grant this last year. We're going to construct the Automotive Mobility Innovation Center in the park. Hopefully that building will start this year. That's the game plan. And it'll actually be an incubator for the mobility sector, which will allow companies, emerging companies, to start with space, then grow, and hopefully a new space in the park. And it's going to be a great advancement for the city. Ohio State is a partner. They're going to be part of this building, so it's exciting to get Ohio State in our community as well. But that's also going to be a game changer in the future. So we're really excited about the park because, again, our focus on the mobility sector and automotive and ag science is really going to grow, Marysville for years to come.
So, Terry, last question is for you. We've seen the video, heard from you all, and I think I probably have a pretty good idea of what you're going to say, but just to kind of sum up, how would you say, what is the current state of the city?
Well, you kind of got a glimpse of it in the video, from our finances to our public infrastructure to our safety forces and the work that they do in our community. The strength of our city right now is probably as good as it's ever been, except for about 150 years ago when you guys came here. But no, it's, the potential of what Marysville can be is really unlimited at this point. And where we benefit, and the reasons we're strong is you've heard all night tonight about partnerships and how we're working with various entities. And, I always first start with Union County. It's not normal for cities and counties to work that closely together. But there isn't hardly anything that we do that we don't first talk to the county, and I think it's quite a bit of it's vice versa, because we believe strongly in not only what happens in the city, but what happens all along this corridor in the area of development and growth. But we're also interested in smart growth, and it's something that council has emphasized. As we consider how we grow, we got to be smart about it, and so we're going to continue to take that into account when projects come before us. Last, I got to give a lot of credit to City Council, because we've talked about a lot of dollars that have been spent in certain areas, and they've entrusted us with being able to handle those dollars and carry out some of these projects. And again, thank you for doing that.
Do we have any other questions, Anna, from online that we wanted to address?
Online. But if we have any in the room, I just ask that you wait until Amanda or I get to you so that these mics can pick up your questions, please.
Or they will throw that box at you.
It's soft, it won't hurt.
Oh, yeah. Wait for the box.
Wait for the box.
Say nothing.
Okay, and then what do I do with
You just speak, right?
Just hold the box.
Talk to the box.
So over the last 4 or 5 years mainly, we've been very fortunate that we were able to tap into what's referred to as the small city grants, because of all the money that you say that we're spending. How much of that is that we are getting a 20-80 match, we're getting a 50-50 match? Yeah, can you elaborate on that?
All those projects I talked about, when I talked about $19 million being spent the last 2 years, that's not all city funds, and that's a great question. Our staff does remarkable in going out and securing funds. The 31 widening project,
phase one was small cities, yes.
And
that's a federal grant that's 80-20. We get OPWC funds every year that's 50-50. Actually, every project that we look to do, we first look for alternate types of funding. And if a project's over $1 million, we seek federal funding. If it's less, we look for state or local funding, something that can offset the city's cost. So we are always looking for alternate fund. Even the $750,000 for the baseball fields at Joint Rec, we applied for $150,000 Land and Water Conservation Fund grant for. So every project we're doing, we're trying to leverage grant funds to make the city's funds go farther.
how about the West 5th Street project coming up this year?
That's an OPWC funded project, so half is OPWC, half is city.
And then, since I have the box, can I do a follow-up? Okay. Sometimes we get groups coming into City Hall, and we always ask them, how many cities are there in Union County? And nobody knows that there's only one city. The rest of them are all villages. When you're 5,000 or more, you're considered to be a city. When you're less than 5,000, you're a village. So I expect that we'll be getting a few more cities coming into Union County fairly soon. But Mike, this question is for you. You were talking about small city, but I do know that the threshold is 25,000.
Right.
Currently, we're slightly over
23,
20,000.
24.
So
Yep.
what can we expect when we become a so-called big city of more than 25,000?
We'll just have to look for different funding sources. Small cities is one of many federal grant funding sources. You have to be outside of an MPO, so we're just outside of MORPC's metropolitan organization. So we're eligible for the small cities because we're outside of MORPC, and we are under 25,000. Once we become over 25,000, we'll lose the ability to apply for that, but we can still get other federal funding sources. If you remember the pedestrian bridge that used the Transportation Alternatives federal grant, that was 80-20 split. So there are other programs we can use. We like small cities because there's a small pool of cities that can apply. There's only 50, 60 cities that are in that. So our chances of getting that funding is better. So that's just one of the growing pains. Once you become a larger city, you can't use that type of funding.
Okay. All right. Thank you. You want to pass the box?
Not that I need that. I want to give a compliment to you guys. The people who work in the water department are the ones that, take care of things. We had a water heater issue that we thought we fixed, and they called me a few days later to tell me that my bill had went up from, this and this. And so when we finally went back, we relooked and found it. They said, oh, just call us back. We'll make sure that it's doing that. I mean, I don't know of any city around that would have their employees call to say, hey, you've got a problem.
Well, we implemented a system probably now, about 6 years ago, 7 years ago, that enables us to be able to see if there's spikes in a person's home. And it really, we're not interested in knowing, what you're doing in your home. But if you have a spike and you're not aware of it, I think it's a great resource.
So much money, because we had issues before, and the ladies there just call me and they verify, and then they call back and have me call back. And I really do. I want to thank the city for that, because I've never seen that before.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions?
What the heck is bioxide?
Oh, you want to, okay. Bioxide, that's a really random question, thank you. I'm glad I know the answer. Bioxide is a chemical feed that we add in our lift stations. And so our sanitary sewer lift stations, as the sewage comes into those by gravity, we have to pump that back to our water treatment plant, our water reclamation facility along 33. So in the process of that pumping, you generate a lot of sulfur type odors, and the bioxide counters those odors. So you add the chemical feed of bioxide at the pump station, so by the time it gets to our wastewater treatment plant, the odors are less or resolved. So bioxide is something that we have to add at the pumping station to help down or upstream, I guess, where we're pumping it. It's odor control.
Got it, okay. Thanks.
I think we had another question here.
Yeah, right.
So with the increase in revenue from 2018, are we considering paying down liabilities, specifically the outstanding principal on the water and sewage infrastructure?
I would pass that straight up to that gentleman 2 seats behind you. And pass, if you don't mind passing the mic, pass that, yeah. And he'll be able to brief you on that.
Thanks for the question. I'm the finance director for the city. I'm Justin Navi. For the wastewater debt, unfortunately, right now, we don't have any bonds that can be called to reduce principal. On the water side, we're saving as much money as we can with the intent of building a new a water treatment plant. The hope is that we could potentially pay down or put down $30 million in cash towards the construction of that new facility. There's been a lot of talk as well as reducing rates. Unfortunately, right now, we're not looking at that alternative. However, in the presentation, we're not even considering rate increases all the way through 2024.
And I would even say we're going to try to go even a lot longer than that if at all possible. So we understand, you know, the issues and the things that we have to do to make sure our rates are more competitive.
Hey, Justin, why don't you talk a little bit about some of how we've been paying down on some of the other short-term notes and...
Sure. Thanks, Mayor. So right now, again, we invested about $7 million in the development of the Innovation Park project. We renew those short-term notes yearly, and we pay down about $100,000 on the principal. We do have some short-term notes that are going to be paid off, I believe, for the Decker Fire Station. That'll be paid off next year. And then long-term, the only long-term debt we'll have is on the Police and Court Municipal Building. And that's, I believe, maturing in about another 10 years. So the big component we're looking for is on the general fund, reducing principal as much as possible, and then making sure on our water and sewer debt that we're not adding as additional debt going forward because of the rate issue. You know, a lot of residents, I hear it all the time, you know, my water and sewer bill that I get every month is pretty high. What's the city doing about this? So every year when we work on the budget, we go to council and the finance committee, and that's the first thing we look at is on utility rates.
Thank you, Justin.
Thanks, Terry.
Any additional questions? Terry, would you like to close?
I would.
Here, we've got one more.
Okay, one more question.
Good evening. Last Christmas, the ice skating rink was very beneficial for the families, and I think it was a great turnout. Do we see any future events like that to bring our families in to enjoy the Uptown Historic Marysville District?
Absolutely. I think just to let everybody know, you'll see that again this year. We're actually even extending the time period a little bit for the ice skating. We'll begin in mid-December again, but we'll carry it through until the kids go back to school. So that was unbelievable, the usage of that facility. Over 5,000 people used it in a 2-week span. So yes. The other thing you're going to see this year, and I can't really get into it tonight because, you know, some of this is surprises a little bit, but this is our bicentennial year, and we've got some really neat things on the horizon and coming up for our bicentennial year. I can tell you that, you know, the Balloon Fest is, I think, August 9th and 10th. Am I correct? 9th and 10th, the Balloon Fest is. And we're going to celebrate the bicentennial August 16th and 17th in the Uptown. And we're going to shut it down. And we're going to have a 2-day party. But we'll be putting out details of exactly what will be involved with that. We just don't want to disclose it just yet.
Well, thank you.
Thanks.
My second question is, for the residents of Marysville who work in other municipalities, is there an opportunity to establish a tax credit for the commuters?
You know, that's something that is being closely monitored right now. Matter of fact, Finance Committee has discussed that during the past few months, and it's something that we're really evaluating. strongly. We're taking a look at a lot of things. But, you know, again, Justin, do you want to add any comments to that? I know Justin's looking into it, and when are we going to be reporting back probably on that?
Thanks, Terry. So we did our first round of review on a income tax credit. If we implemented a 0.5% credit, it would reduce city revenue by about $1.2 million. And then if we did a 0.25% credit, it would reduce revenue by roughly $600,000. We only captured 1 year worth of data, and internally what we've discussed and we've reported to the Finance Committee was we'd like to have 2 additional years of data to review to ensure if we do a credit that it's not a huge detriment to the city. Me personally, and I've discussed this with Terry and the Finance Committee, I'm committed to working to implement a credit. I think it's time and it's necessary. It's just we want to make sure we have enough data to make sure that we're not overstepping whatever, you know, impact it might be, because all of this revenue, we use that for paving. I mean, it's critical to the, you know, the infrastructure for the city. So again, I think what we're looking for is probably 2021 to implement a credit.
I'd like to thank everybody for being here tonight, but I'd also like for everybody, I'd really like to thank Sue, the Scott's team, Brian, Aaron, who was the behind-the-scenes guy tonight that was helping manage this program. Thank you so much for hosting our event tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you. And we're holding you to another 150 years, so there you go.
Like I said, we're youngsters compared to 200.
There you go. You're right. So, but thank you again for attending tonight. Look for some of these projects in the coming months, and also look for some of the activities in our bicentennial as well. So thank you again for attending, and have a great evening.